Okay, this is going to be a demo on how to rough in elements. So for probably the last time, we'll start out at the projects level and work our way down to make sure you know how to navigate. So we'll start at Icky and Cranky Park, pick out an attraction, and we'll go to the scenes. And there's different ways to do this. I'm going to show you my preferred way method first. Let's go to Cat of Nine Tails. So we've got no elements in here. First we've got to go to the edit side, and I'm going to pull up a description, put that over here. Now I'm currently working on a 13-inch screen. Normally I work on a larger monitor or multiple monitors, which makes this easier. And if you're doing this from an iPad, then you can't pull up two separate screens. But I'm going to resize this a little bit. Not quite big enough, but so basically I'll read the creative description and figure out what I need from there. So I'm going to look at that and say, let's see, we're going to need speakers, and I'll put that under audio. Also notice this is now a record because I've got information in there. This is not a record. That's where you start a new record. But if I try and do the pull down list, there's nothing there. If I do the list up here, it's got a list. This list is based on the attraction. Those are all the current category abbreviations I'm using for this attraction. So if I put in, see, what else do we need? We need a projector. I can put in video. And let's say, a lot of times I use the quantities, not so much the units. You can if you need to, like if you're figuring out, 100 feet of cable. But for this case, I use quantities a lot of times to rough this out, and then as I get more detailed and I create individual numbering systems for each of these, then I take out the quantities and just use the individual numbers. So let's say we need 7 speakers. It's not always the case. I'll show you a couple different ways to do that. Say 1 projector, and we're going to need shakers. We're going to need let's see, car wash set, and tell you what, let's do this. Shakers, we'll call that special effects. Let's go to the full list. I can click here and go to the full list. Now notice I've still got the description pad. Now normally I'll keep this open. In this case I'll just get rid of that and open this up a little bit so you can see it better. So the other thing I can do is, if I've got say I need 1 car wash set, I've got the same set over here, and let's say I need I'm going to add a new one that hasn't been used before. Let's say I'll just call it water squirters for now. And notice I've got no category for WFX, and you can call it SFX, but in this case I'm going to show you, if you double click in here, ignore that list, WFX, click out of there so that it commits the record. Now if I go back to any of these, if I add a new record, first of all notice that it's adding it to the same scene, Cat of Nine Tails. And now if I add let's just call it a soaper, I don't know. At any rate, now I've got WFXs added to that list of categories. So if I want to pull up all SFX, I can click on that and hit find this, and it'll pull up all SFX. Now if I took all of these special effects out and changed it to something else, SFX would no longer be shown on that list. So let's go back to, let's see, where were we? Cat of Nine Tails. So I'm going to find this. Now we got our original set back. So I can continue filling this out. I'm going to show you another way to do that. This is a little haphazard, but that's fine. When you're first roughing stuff out, you just start getting a feel for it. So we're going to go back here. Now I'm going to go to elements. Now the elements will list all of the elements, the home page will list all of the elements currently in the attraction. And that's partially why I like using the other version, because if you do it this way, you're going to create, it's harder to find your way around and pick out the stuff you're actually working on. So in this case, I'm going to hit add a new element, and it takes me to the data entry page for that. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to element full list, and here's the one I just added. Now notice instead of cat of nine tails, it says outdoor queue. So because I wasn't on any scene before, I just went straight to the element page. It didn't know which scene I wanted to attach this to, so it just picked the first one in the list and attached it to that. You need to attach it to something, otherwise it'll just be floating. Now I'm going to cut that out of there. And you notice the area goes away, the attraction goes away. This is floating in space nowhere. If you don't have an area listed, that means if I click out of here and click back in, this is going to disappear into space, and it's just going to be an extra record floating around in your system. And I'll show you how to check for that later and get all of those out of your system. It's pretty easy, and it shouldn't happen because I've got it defaulted to pick out the first scene in the attraction if you don't pick out a scene for it. So I'm going to paste that back in there. And by the way, if you have an element that you want to move to a different attraction, go to the scene in that other attraction, copy the scene key or the area key, and then just make your duplicate here. And in the duplicate, copy paste that number in there, and you've created another element and moved it into another scene or another show. If you just want to move this to another scene, it's easy. Just go down here, cat of nine tails. Now it's part of that. Let me show you something else. Let's say this is body parts offload. So if I click on this one, and then I'm going to do a shortcut. I'll show you what the shortcut is. New element. On the Mac, it's Command N. On PC, it's Control N. So I'm going to use that shortcut and create a new record. That's also body parts offload. If I click on cat of nine tails and create a new record, whoops, new, there you go. Now it's cat of nine tails. So it'll keep going with whatever scene you're in, assuming that that's the scene you want the assignment to be. And of course you can change that like I just said. If you want to change it to something else, click on the area key and change it. You can't change it from here because this is part of the area scene or area and scenes database. You can change the key, but if I let you change it in here, you're not actually changing which scene you're in, you're changing the name of the scene. So that's why I've got that locked out. That gives you a basic understanding of how to do this. I'm going to show you how to detail this out in another video. Thank you.